I've been sick in Jamaica and I had to spend more than 6 hours in a hospital. It was a private hospital, but I don't think anybody wants to be sick in on vacation. Like
Correct.
umeacha resort room unaenda kulala kwa kitanda hospitali na ile AC yao vile ni baridi and their food and they're telling you have to sleep overnight. Like for me, I told them I'm not sleeping overnight. I'm leaving. I'm going back.
But in case you have to buy a new ticket, you can go back and claim from them. I don't think I don't think they'll give you the cash allotment in terms of like for the ticket itself. But I think you can go claim from them, or you probably have like a 800 number you go through to claim your ticket. If you get sick, you could, let's say you got sick, and you need to go see a doctor.
Okay.
Then basically they'll cover for doctors within the country where you are.
Now, every year, thousands of Kenyans in the diaspora board flights to home, assuming one thing: Kenya is home, so entering Kenya should be simple. But a new mandatory health insurance requirement for non-Kenyan travelers has triggered everything from genuine concern to misinformation. Some are calling it another tax on visitors, while others say it simply protects Kenyan taxpayers from paying medical bills left behind by uninsured foreigners. But tonight, we want to ask the question most relevant to the diaspora: who exactly is considered a foreigner by the Kenyan immigration? And if you are born Kenyan but travel on an American passport, will this new directive affect you? What about your spouse or your children who are born in America? And what if you're a dual citizen who has never renewed your Kenyan passport? Could a decision that once seemed like convenience now have consequences? We'll separate the $50,000 coverage requirement from the actual cost of the insurance, examine what the regulations really say, what remains unclear, and whether this protects Kenya or creates another barrier to tourism and diaspora travel. Then we'll widen the conversation onto 2027 politics. What should diaspora Kenyans actually be demanding from politicians beyond rallies and personalities? What would Ruto's 2060 vision or Sifuna's Imagine Linda Mwananchi movement tangibly mean for Kenyans in the diaspora? So without much further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this opportunity to welcome our panel tonight. We of course have DJ Omoshfire, Tukona Mika Och, and our super producer, none other than Mubelwa Bandio. And the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. We're going to get started right away. And DJ Omoshfire, I'm going to start with you. Before we get into this conversation, just generally speaking, DJ Omosh, ukisalimia wachangiaji, watazamaji na wasikilizaji, when you're booking that flight back to Kenya and eventually maybe heading beyond Nairobi all the way to Rusinga Island, is travel medical insurance something you actually think about? DJ Omoshfire, karibu sana.
Now it seems I'll be forced to.
Okay.
In the past, I hadn't really thought about it, though I'd say maybe in my last 2 travels, I actually looked into it and was going to get it, then I never got it.
Okay.
One of our very good friends of the show is actually, I'd say, is part of the show, DB. DB is like almost get insurance. In fact, I think him is the king of insurance, the travel insurance. Like the one you go, you shop around and get for everybody. It covers you with your ticket, sickness, blah, blah, all of that. And it's maybe between $150 to $300, depending upon who covers you and how much your ticket costs, because it goes according to basically how much you pay for your ticket.
So wait, $150 to $300 per trip?
For that trip.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll cover the trip because it covers you for the trip. It's travel insurance specifically for the trip.
Okay.
It'll help with in terms of, let's say, you don't travel when you're supposed to travel, so that in case you have to buy a new ticket, you can go back and claim from them. I don't think they'll give you the cash allotment in terms of like for the ticket itself, but I think you can go claim from them, or you probably have like a 800 number you go through to claim your ticket. If you get sick, you could, let's say you got sick, and you need to go see a doctor.
Okay.
Then basically they'll cover for doctors within the country where you are. So it's not like, let's say you have insurance of here, then you go out of pocket and then you come back and claim.
Okay.
That one, they are the ones who will direct you, go to doctors XYZ because you're covered. Insurance yako yani imeko cover.
Yeah.
Because those doctors ziko kwa hiyo network yao juu uko local.
Okay. Okay, but generally speaking, it's not something that you'd been giving thought as you're traveling to Kenya.
Now I am, but I hadn't.
previously, no.
No, I hadn't, and we're talking about since back to back since 2005. I think
Okay.
last year is probably the only year that I missed.
Okay.
So going. So that's quite a long time consistently going, and so I've never thought of buying insurance. And then of course I guess also one of those things is because there's medical in there, then there's the insurance for the ticket itself.
Yes.
Most times I was thinking of this insurance not even necessarily for medical, but for the ticket in case something were to happen and then you don't get to travel. Like I had an experience where I went into Kenya using I think it was Emirates, and my coming out ticket was Qatar.
Okay.
That saved me
Okay.
because for whatever reason, while I was in Kenya, Emirates stopped flying out.
Okay.
They suspended flying out.
Okay.
So if you had an Emirates ticket, you had to wait
you had to wait.
until they decided to come back on board, or you had to go buy a new ticket. So now imagine you're a whole farmer. But in that particular case, because I had two different airlines, I was covered. So I just left with Qatar. So in a case like that, where you have to purchase a new ticket, or you could not get to travel, and then maybe your ticket itself also has restrictions, which a lot of us don't realize when we are buying those tickets that sound too good to be true. They have restrictions of like how you get to change it, when you can change it.
Yes.
And like if you don't travel on that day and it's not the airline's fault, Shariako.
But now that's a travel part, because I think also here Afro-Jamaican Kaiser Soze is saying flight travel insurance is not travel health insurance, and this is we're going to be making this distinction.
Correct. Yeah. So for me, when I was looking at insurance, I was looking at insurance mostly because I knew it covered me for the ticket.
Okay.
But you could also then now encompass medical in there. You could get whatever. So again, that's why I say the coverage in a tegemea, the amount you pay in a tegemea na zile vitu unaongezea.
Yes, and the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. And to the audience, please tell us your experiences, like traveling. Have you ever thought about getting travel insurance previously, or rather health insurance, health coverage while you're traveling to Kenya? Like I've worked in that industry, the industry for health coverage while you're traveling, not just travel insurance, because there's a distinction between the two, and I will be talking about that and making a distinction between the two. But I want to go to Mika Och. Mika Och, karibu sana. Now, Mika, when you travel back home, like whether you're traveling to Nairobi or back to Ocha, Busia, same question. Before this story came out, did you normally buy travel insurance or rely on American medical insurance, or just assumed niko nyumbani nitajipanga? Mika, karibu sana.
Ako na kadi.
Thank you very much, Ali. And thank you to our listeners, our Changiaji, and everybody else. It's another Friday. And thank you for joining us. Now, answering to your question. For me, usually, I'm one of the few lucky people whose employer does take care of us, and I have a very comprehensive coverage for my work insurance. So when I go to Kenya, I am covered close to, I'd say, 95%. Now, the thing is, there are some countries which, when I travel on my own personal travels, I have to buy my own insurance, because my work insurance will cover me up to, let's say, between 60 to 80%, depending on where I'm going. So in that point, I usually buy supplemental travel insurance, because just for the sake of, trust me, I've been sick in Jamaica and I had to spend more than 6 hours in a hospital. It was a private hospital, but I don't think anybody wants to be sick on vacation. Like umeacha resort room, unaenda kulala kwa kitanda hospitali na ile AC yao vile ni baridi, and their food, and they're telling you have to sleep overnight. Like for me, I told them I'm not sleeping overnight, I'm leaving, I'm going back. And I had to sign a form to say that I want to, like, I'm willing to walk out of the hospital. If anything happens, they're not responsible for that. So that was one of the cases where I was fully covered. But I'm just saying, you don't want to go to a foreign country, especially countries that tell you they need to see upfront payment before they treat you. or if they treat you and the insurance decides to cover it, they will charge your insurance double.
Okay. Okay, asante sana, Mika. Like we're talking about, like health coverage while traveling, because in the wake of the new mandate that came from Kenya, please tell us in the comments, like what your experience has been traveling. And we want to distinguish a couple of things that were a bit confusing in this directive that was gazetted, that came from the Ministry of Health in the Kenyan government. We have Mutahe here on YouTube. Mutahe, karibu sana. Mutahe says, insurance of between $100 to $200 adds another additional cost to tickets, which are already expensive. Imagine a family of 6. So very good point. And then now hapa Edgar Toho anasema Jamaica ni kishash ilizidi, anamwambia Mika. And then hapa Afro-Jamaican has an interesting question, and he says, guys, talk to your human resources. I am almost sure if you have insurance from work, it has travel benefits. I think that's a Canadian in Afro-Jamaican speaking. And I'll tell you why. Because I understand the difference. Because before the job I'm currently in, I was actually in this industry, and the company that I was working for had a very big client, like from Canada, called Sun Life Insurance. I'm sure Afro-Jamaican is familiar. In fact, the reason why I quit the job is because, or rather, it's because we were laid off. I didn't quit the job. We were laid off because we lost that client.
So there was no Sunrise over there?
There was no Sunrise,
Okay.
yeah. So Sun Life Insurance was our biggest client. So, and here's the difference between, in Jamaica, not Jamaica,
Canada.
in Canada, there's universal healthcare.
Yes.
And the healthcare is administered, at the province level, not even at the country level. Each province has its own particular program. Now, a lot of companies have some what's called contingent coverage, because people are already covered under the what you call the universal healthcare that they have there. So companies have contingent coverage, especially companies where the employers travel to the United States, travel out of the country, and Sun Life used to do a lot of that. So, and that's why I think, Afro-Jamaican is assuming, health insurance by employers covers travel benefits. It covers travel within the United States. The moment you hit outside the United States, there are some that will give you some limited coverage, but for the most part, the standard ones, they do not do that. So that's the reason why, maybe a Canadian might see this differently. A lot of people in Canada, especially are they called snow bunnies or winter bunnies? Those ones who come here when it's too cold in Canada, and they live in Florida and Arizona. So they get coverage, whenever they come to the United States. And people who live very close to the border frequently come to the US. They also get this kind of coverage. So this is your standard health insurance for most companies here in the United States will not give you coverage when you go outside the country.
Yeah, I think part of I think even with that, to add on to that, in Europe, some of the companies we have here also exist over there. So the coverage depends on which one it is. It can cross over.
Yeah.
But then now, when especially now when it comes to like Kenya, and you're dealing with, say, with Jubilee, AAR, those types of, because those are the ones that are like the insurance that would be, say, conversant, or that would switch over. Then now you have a gap, because, like, for instance, if I have Kaiser is only Kaiser. It's not like Kaiser's allowing me to go to like Blue Cross, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's where so it also depends on what type of cover you have. Do you have a PPO or a PMO? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those
HMO,
those matter, right? So if it's a one-stop shop like a Kaiser, then you can't basically duplicate that elsewhere.
Yes.
And in order for you to get treatment outside of the network, you have to get approval, whether it's an emergency or not.
All right. We have some comments here that are coming on Facebook. Shinyas karibu sana. Shinyas anasema this is an insurance scam by this government. Glad the High Court shut it down for now. The government claims the insurance is to protect the government or locals from carrying the medical burden. You can't get into a local hosi in Kenya without paying first. So we're gonna, like analyze, like some of these comments that are coming from Shinyas.